Thank you. As John said, my name's Al DeLucia. I'm the District Governor of District 7305. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to meet everyone here today, but thank you so much for your hospitality. Thank you so much to the board members of both clubs who came early for a board of directors meeting with each club and myself. Thank you very much for making the extra time, and thanks for everybody for being here. By your club member size, looks like we've got just about everybody here, so great turnout. Thank you very, very much. You know, this year, our Rotary theme is, Rotary opens opportunities. And there's a couple of things that this year has really opened opportunities for that go along perfectly with the Rotary theme and what Rotary is all about. Number one is, it's given us opportunities to increase our ability to adapt. If you had talked last year about you were going to start having your club meetings on a regular basis at the YMCA here, or possibly at on a rotating basis in club members' basements or at their house, you probably would have looked at each other and said, that's never going to work. But it is working, as you can see right now, and from talking to the boards of what's going on in the clubs and what they have planned for increasing membership, doing fundraisers. The way you're meeting now is working. So you've embraced the opportunity to adapt and change and do what's necessary to keep making Rotary grow. You've also reached out and you have opportunities now to expand your reach. Your meeting formats now, even though you're not meeting every week, you now have an opportunity to attract a demographic that maybe wasn't really interested in Rotary the way the clubs have been doing it in the past, where you're meeting on a weekly basis, you have a meal possibly, your dues reflect that, and there's a certain formality to that. Well, without that formal structure, there's a lot of people that might be interested in joining Rotary and doing a lot of the things that Rotarians do, especially service-based, without the commitment of the time and possibly the dues structure that the normal club format did, but now maybe you're not doing, because these aren't normal times. These are very different times, and we're all learning to adapt to them. Things like service members. There are a lot of clubs in the district that are starting to attract members based just on service. They pay dues, but they don't come to every meeting, but clubs are intentionally having more service projects, and they're attracting more people who are potentially become members because they like the service aspect. That's very, very popular with younger demographic. The cost is lower, the time commitment is less, but they're very, very interested in service, wanting to know how they can give back to the community. And it's a way for them also to impact the club by saying, myself and some people that I know and some friends that might be interested in joining this club, this is what we like to do. And what we've heard from the younger members is the environment is the #1 concern for them. And Rotary has addressed that by making caring for the environment the 7th area of focus for Rotary. So now it's not just part of the 6 areas of focus like it has been in the past. Caring for the environment is the 7th area of focus, and that's something that really strikes a chord with the younger demographic and the younger members and potential members. The other thing is human trafficking. That's the other largest area that they are interested in, is what's being done about human trafficking and also social justice. Rotary in the past has had a stance, now has an actual task force designed for diversity, equity, and inclusion. President Holden Knack has formed that task force. It has people who have a professional background in diversity, equity, and inclusion, and they are developing that program, and that task force is going to be coming out with that platform very, very soon. Now, we don't have to wait for them to come out with that platform to say this is something that we are behind, that Rotary, as we know, is very inclusive. and we want to make sure that people who aren't familiar with us recognize that, and we tell that story, that Rotary is a very inclusive organization, and that we welcome people of diversity into our membership, and want to make sure that they become engaged very, very quickly. So talking about membership, there's a lot of different ways that clubs are attracting members. I know that there are several clubs in the district that are doing a lot of virtual meetings. They've also done a lot of virtual fundraising, and the fundraising aspect has attracted a lot of interest, because along with the actual fundraising event is the publication and the public image of where that money is going to go. If a club is raising money for maybe local firefighters, make sure that they get the firefighters involved, making sure that they get that public image. And that public image that's being out there, especially on social media, Facebook especially, is getting a lot of interest, and a lot of people are saying, see, that's an organization that I didn't know a lot about, but I see what they're doing on Facebook. I see their posts, I see their activities, and I like that, and I want to be involved. And we have a number of clubs in our district that are getting a lot of potential members that are very, very interested in joining Rotary because of the activities that are out there on social media. So just because they're not meeting in person, just because they're not doing in-person fundraisers, they've found a way to continue to grow their clubs and grow their impact in their community. So I encourage both of the clubs here to embrace that and think about how you can adapt your club to make that type of impact in the community without having to be all in-person meetings and all in-person fundraisers and your activities. And as I was talking before, it sounds like both clubs are doing a great job in moving in that direction. Now, sometime in the future, when things return to more quote-unquote normal, I'm sure that we're going to go back to doing things, some of the things that we used to do. One of the things that President Holger Knack and I will echo this sentiment, that we hope is that we don't forget about what we're doing now, because there's a lot of good things that come out of what we're doing now. Some of the things aren't the most ideal circumstances, obviously, but there are still some things that we're doing that we can really embrace, such as maybe not all virtual meetings, but at least having the technology where when members can't come, or members can't come as often as that they would like, they can tune in to a virtual meeting. They can be involved in a virtual meeting and still feel very, very engaged in the club, even though they're not here in person. So things like that, some different virtual fundraisers. I've heard many, many clubs talk about how quickly they were able to adapt, and they may not be doing the very large fundraisers, but they're doing a lot of smaller fundraisers, and that money's going right back into the community. Speaking of going back into the community, the district grants applications are due, and the district actually, we were very, very concerned about clubs' financial stability and financial wherewithal to be able to do district grant projects this year. So the district, taking that into consideration, lowered the amount of money that clubs had to contribute to be able to do a district grant project. A club could now apply for a $1,000 grant, and they only had to put $250 towards that district grant project. We had an overwhelming response. Number of clubs that qualified, number of clubs that have applied for and will be accepted to be able to do their grants. Actually, more clubs than we anticipated, and more money being requested than we anticipated. So clubs still see the value in contributing to the foundation and being able to do district grants. We also have a number of clubs that are talking about doing global grants, the much larger minimum of $30,000 grant level will be done this year. As I was talking to the board a little earlier, the giving for the foundation and the Polio Plus are the same goals this year as they were last year. We're asking every club to encourage their members for an average of $100 per member for the Rotary Foundation giving. and $45 per member for Polio Plus. You know, the Rotary Foundation, as I said, we realized that there are some clubs that are going to have some financial constraints, but we're asking those clubs to really think about the impact of that giving, because it's not this year that's impacted, it's 3 years from now. This year, we're spending the money that was given 3 years ago. 3 years from now, they're going to be spending the money that we give today. So to enable them to have as much money, if possibly more money than we have available now, we're asking clubs to make sure that they encourage their members to give an average of $100 per member to the Rotary Foundation. The Polio Plus campaign, the goal is a little different this year. It's $45 per member. Last year it was $1,500 per club, but that kind of is heavily weighted against a club like Scottdale or even Mount Pleasant, where you've got less than, say, 50 members, and not so much against a club like Pittsburgh or maybe Somerset that has more than 50 members. So to even that out, they said, we need, the goal is to raise $50 million. Rotary needs to raise $50 million so that $50 million is matched 2-for-1 by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So the $50 million over the 1.2 million members worldwide is $45 per member. That's where that goal comes from. Eradicating polio is still Rotary's #1 goal, and it will continue to be. I'm sure that you all saw the announcement that the continent of Africa is now free of the wild polio virus. That was just recently announced, I think, 2 weeks ago. So they're basically down to 2 countries in the world still. They'll continue to work on trying to eradicate polio worldwide. One of the things of the Polio Plus now is that so much of what Rotary has done in eradicating Polio Plus, the World Health Organization, the National Institute of Health, and other organizations are coming to Rotary and saying, how have you been able to combat this virus for all of these years? And how did you get those numbers down from where they were 30 years ago down to where they are now? And they know that Rotary has a wealth of information and an army of volunteers that, if needed, could help with that. So the plus of Polio Plus now is not only what it's always been, which is, you know, the antibacterial mosquito netting in countries, and education and programming, but now it's helping the world with the COVID-19 coronavirus and how to eradicate that and fight that now. So, you know, I know there's some people who look at the Polio Plus campaign and say, well, this is something that we've been doing for a long, long, long time. You know, when is this eventually going to be done? It's going to be done when polio is eradicated, because that is Rotary's goal, and that's Rotary's promise. But now the plus is helping the world fight COVID-19. So I think we can all take a great amount of pride in that. Talking a little bit about about grants. One thing that I want to make everybody here aware of is that our district has global grant scholars that we did not have as District 7330. Global grant scholars are the availability of students who have graduated from college, who want to study internationally and want to study in one of the 7 areas of focus of Rotary. One of those areas is obviously disease prevention, and that is something that can be funded in a significant way by our district with the global grant scholars that we have. So it cannot be a direct relative of a Rotarian, but if you know the student who has graduated from college and would be hosted by a club in our district, and sponsored by that club, they want to study internationally, and again, in one of the the 7 areas of focus of Rotary, our chairperson for that is Steve and Colleen Arnowitz. They're out of the Charleroi Club. You can contact them. You can contact me initially if you'd like, but there's a significant amount of money available for those students. Last year, we interviewed a student who was going to study medicine in the Caribbean. Unfortunately, he didn't qualify for a couple of other reasons, but if he had qualified, there would have been, for 2 years, over $150,000 available to him for travel, books, board, tuition. Pretty much 2 years of med school would have been paid for him if he would have qualified. So when I say there's a significant amount of money available, it's a very substantial amount of money. The other availability for a scholar is if somebody wants to study at one of the peace centers. There's a peace center in Scotland. There's also one in North Carolina. If somebody wants to be a peace scholar, that's something else that we have endowed money for. So I want to bring that to your attention because it's something we did not have available as District 7330. It's something we have available as District 7305. And as I'm going around talking to clubs, starting to get some interest of people who know students. You know, if you've done anything with high school students that have matriculated to college and now coming back, you know, this might be a great opportunity to at least talk to them about something like that. You've probably heard about the hand wash program. The hand wash program is our district project this year. Hand wash is the initiative of Rotary International to bring clean water to the entire country of Haiti. The country of Haiti is broken up into communes. And they're kind of like a county. They're about the same size, sometimes about the same population. There's about 184 of them in the country of Haiti. Right now, Rotary districts have adopted 4 of them. Our district will be adopting the 5th commune, and that will probably be it for several years. How many communes will be adopted? But what they're doing right now is something completely different than that has been done in the past. In the past, you know, our district has supported clean water in areas around the world with the sand filter projects that we did for years and years, other clean water projects. This is more of a ground up project from the beginning, and it's a multi-year and multi-billion-dollar initiative. There's going to be a lot of money contributed by other non-government organizations, the government of Haiti, but Rotary is going to be the spearhead for the boots on the ground initiative and getting these things started. As a gentleman, he's a past Rotary International Director by the name of John Smarge, who's spearheading this effort. And what's going on down there is really life-changing, because in the communities that his district adopted in the Champion 4, there's something happening in that country that's never happened in the country of Haiti in its existence. And that is, there are people actually paying a utility bill. They're actually paying for the clean water that's coming into their house for the first time ever. Now, it's only about 50 cents a month, but they are getting into the habit of, hey, this is not going to be free. This is something that's being provided, and there is a small cost to it. And right now, they've got about 70% of the houses that have water coming into it paying a utility bill. And it's only 70% because the other 30% just got it, and they haven't gotten used to the idea that if you don't pay your utility bill, you won't have the water coming in. So, so that's a great incentive, because people that have the water coming in, obviously, you know, that's something that they've never had before, and it's something that they want to continue to have. So that is our district project. I'm hoping very much that you will support that district project, just like you supported district projects in the past. And I just wanted to leave you with a couple of things that our president, Holger Knack, has asked everybody to think about this year. You know, number one, as I mentioned, he's mentioning, you know, let's remember to keep some of what we've learned here today. You know, some of the things that we're doing now can easily be adapted and adopted into how we have club meetings and how we do fundraisers and how we do membership moving forward. Also focusing on membership. And membership just doesn't mean growing your membership numbers, but it also means making sure that the members you have are engaged and they're fully engaged. As you get a new member, you know, they're most susceptible to leave your club in the first 3 years. And most of the time when they leave, they'll tell you something like, well, I need to spend more time with my family, or I'm just so busy at work, I don't have time. But what it really probably is that they haven't become engaged. Nobody's given them something to do, and really something that they want to do. Nobody's reached out to them and said, now that you're a member of the Scottdale Club, or now that you're a member of the Mount Pleasant Club, you know, we'd love to have you as a member. And more than likely, they joined because they heard the story of Rotary. They hear about all the great things that Rotary does. But now that they're a member of your club, how are you going to put them to work? How are you going to get them engaged in your club, active in your club, so that they're as enthusiastic about your club as they were about when they joined Rotary? And that's the challenge. Make sure that you're not only trying to grow members, but you're also keeping the members you have and engaging the members that you add new. President Knack also said that he'd like to see more women in leadership. Now, as I go around the district, you know, I see right now 50% of the clubs here have a woman as president. As I go around the district, about 40% of our clubs have women presidents, and probably another 50% of that have a woman as a president-elect. So as a district, I know we're doing better than average on having women in leadership and having great women in club leadership. And we also encourage women in leadership at the district level and up into the zone level. So that's something that I think our district does a very, very good job of, is letting women know that there's great opportunities for leadership. That leadership is more than welcome. They make great leaders, and we continue to encourage that. The other thing is encouraging clubs to do at least one strategic planning session every year. If you haven't done a strategic planning session in the last year, I encourage you to do it. There's a great strategic planning course and program on the RI website. And that was put together by our very own Stephanie Urchick. Dr. Urchick was the chair of the strategic planning committee for 3 years, and they're the ones that put that strategic plan together. It's really a pretty easy, simple exercise that you can do in a club meeting in about 15 or 20 minutes. There's 4 areas. You break your club into 4 groups, and you give each group one area, and it really starts conversations about what does your club want to look like? What's it want to be in 3 to 5 years from now? And then you'll be, I think every club will be surprised at some of the comments that come out, because there are things that many people in your club will think, well, that's not something we need to be concerned about, or that's something that I think is working really, really well with us or for us. And you might find out that that sentiment isn't held by every member of your club. That there may be things that your club does or maybe doesn't do. That there are members that would say, I wish we didn't do this, or maybe didn't emphasize this so much, or I wish we would do this a little bit more. It's a great conversation starter, and if clubs will use it at least once a year, I think it will really push clubs in a very positive direction. So with that, I just like to make sure that I emphasize, again, you know, the theme of this year is Rotary Opens Opportunity. And the world needs Rotary now more than ever. We have the opportunity to do good in our community and the world, and we have the opportunity to have more people join us in doing that. I'd just like to leave you with a little inspirational message. Keep your thoughts positive, because your thoughts become your words. Keep your words positive, because your words become your behavior. Keep your behavior positive, because your behavior becomes your habits. Keep your habits positive, because your habits become your values. Keep your values positive because your values become your destiny. With that, thank you very much for your time. I greatly enjoyed and appreciated my visit. Thank you so much for your hospitality. I would like to have B and Kevin come on up. These are flags for your clubs. This is the our Rotary International theme flag for this year. Oh. All right, yeah, we need to get some pictures. So those are flags for both of your clubs. Oh, hold on. B. B.
Yeah.